Hello, I am going to talk about pi. Pi, usually symbolized as the Greek letter that you know. And I think pi is really cool because it's not something that people made up or invented. It's something that was discovered. And one really easy way to discover pi on your own is to find something that's circular and measure its circumference. So get a flexible tape measure and measure how far around the perimeter of the circle, that's its circumference, and measure its diameter straight across, how wide is the circle, and then divide those two numbers, circumference divided by diameter. No matter how big the circle, no matter how small the circle, you will always get the same number, about 3.14. And that's pretty cool. It's not a number that you can write as a fraction. It's irrational. So it's a decimal that never repeats. There's no pattern, and it just goes on forever. So that's my favorite part about pi. Another thing that's pretty cool about pi, and it's the basis of radian measure. Instead of using degrees, 360 degrees to go all the way around a circle, 180 to go halfway around, etc., you can use a different measure. Like instead of using feet, using centimeters, instead of using degrees, you can use radians. And radians is based on pi. If you have a circle whose radius is 1, then when you actually measure around the perimeter of that circle, you will get a full circumference of 2 pi. So if you double 3.14, you would get 6.28 approximately to go all the way around that circle. And that way of measuring angles is extremely important in engineering and in mathematics and in technology in creating all the stuff that we know and use. So if all the way around the circle is 2 pi radians, halfway around would be 1 pi radians, or just pi. Up 90 degrees, an angle of 90 degrees would be half of that, so we'd write it as pi over 2. Half of that would be 45 degrees, and if you take a full pi, you would cut that into 4 pieces, so that'd be pi over 4 radians. That's another one of my really favorite things about pi, the idea of measuring angles in radians instead of degrees. One more thing, we use pi in a different way. The capital letter pi, which looks a lot like the lowercase letter pi, it's just kind of taller and flat topped instead of having that tilde shaped top. And we use that for something called summation. Summation notation is a way of writing down a sequence that you would then add together. On the top of the pi symbol, you put your ending point. On the bottom, you put your variable that you're using and your starting point. And then to the right of the symbol pi, you put the equation, the formula to determine each member of the sequence. And so if you ever see a capital letter pi instead of a lowercase, that stands for summation, or adding things all up together. So there's a little bit about pi. I challenge you to go find a circle, get a flexible tape measure, measure that circle's circumference, measure its diameter, and divide those two numbers to find out, can you actually get something close to 3.14? Is it true? Is it real? Thanks.